Greetings. I'm Rick Albrecht. I joined the astronomy section back in 1969, and at the time it was an active group, very supportive of beginners like myself, but there was no observing site like the clubs in Buffalo and Syracuse had. Now, over the years, this kind of fostered a pent-up demand for some kind of site. And in 1988, the University of Rochester offered to give us a 12-inch Tinsley telescope. At the time, Clark Lewis was our president, and he was key in the negotiations over that gift. Now, we had, our annual budget at that point was like $100 a year, a little over $100 a year. All of our assets could fit in a cabinet in the basement of the planetarium. So this was going to be a big change. And fortunately, we had a lot of enthusiasm. We formed a planning committee with a number of subcommittees to address various aspects of what would have to take place. And really, this gift of the Tinsley telescope was the first of 5 important gifts that made Ionia come about. And what I'd like to do is take a few minutes and share some photos of those early development events out at the Ionia site. The first of the 5 important gifts was the 12-inch Tinsley that came from the University of Rochester. We bolted it to my 16-inch to get an idea what the image looked like. Now, Al Ureli's was very important in getting the next important gift. He talked with Max Farash on the left and talked him into donating a plot of land out in Ionia. Now, Blair Pugh took me for a plane ride to get some pictures, and he was turning some pretty tight circles, and this is kind of what the land looked like as we were circling about. The yellow line here gives you an idea of the general area. Now, to get in there was a narrow tractor path, and Blair Pugh, who you see on the left here, our first site manager, organized a bunch of members to take down some trees in preparation for the third very important gift, which was a road into the site. Bill Fitzgerald, who was a longtime member of the club, when he passed away, he designated $10,000 to be donated to the astronomy club, and that money was used to pay for the road into the site. The road has been named in his honor. Once people had heard that we were building an observing site out in Ionia, we got the donation of 2 different domes. The first one was the steel dome, which is now over the Tinsley, and the second one was an aluminum dome that was donated by Lou Fico. I like cranes and enjoyed arranging for a crane to pick up Lou Fico's dome and set it on a truck that I had arranged to transport the 2 domes. Here you can see the domes have been placed on the site, and over on the right-hand side of this image, you see the 6 concrete observing pads that Blair and I poured. The 4th important gift came from Lewis Walk, which was funding to build the main education building. Here you see the foundation has been put together. And then over the next 3 weekends, our membership built this building. The first weekend, as you see here, we're working on the floor. And here's a few people taking a lunch break under the shadow of the floor. Over in the corner, you see Trudy Brown facing the camera. In this frame, you see the people over on the southeast corner of the floor. That's where the last piece of plywood was put down, and all the members that worked on the floor signed the bottom of that piece of plywood. Now, the fifth most important gift is displayed in this image. Here you see quite a crowd of members that all participated in building the floor and continued to work on this building. On the second weekend, we put up the 4 walls that define the building. Here you see work going on the north wall and being raised up into position and getting secured with bracing 2x4s and so on. In this photo, you see the south wall being fabricated in the horizontal, and once all of the plywood is put on the siding, it is raised and secured as well. Notice that all of the walls are made with 2x6. This is to allow for more insulation for the northern climate. In this scene, you can see both the north and south walls have been erected. On the third weekend, once all the walls were up, we started putting the roof trusses on top. You can see here most of the roof trusses are in place, and the plywood sheeting is in front of the building. Here we have, once again, Trudy and Ken Brown still participating in this operation. Notice in the upper right-hand corner, you can see a tree that's been nailed to the highest roof truss on the building for good fortune. Getting the plywood up on the roof was a little bit of an issue, so we made a temporary platform out of plywood and 2x6s resting on my trailer. Here you see Matt Sinicola, the brave individual, handing sheets up to the people on the roof. And this is the last piece of plywood that's being nailed to the roof, which pretty much completes the wood construction of this building. Following those 3 great work weekends in the summer of 1991, 4 of us gathered to wrap the building in Tyvek and put windows in the east side of the building. You can see Chuck Spoolhoff in the white hat and red shirt assisting us from the ground, as he should be at his age. After the windows were installed, we covered all the windows with plywood to prevent vandals from breaking the windows and damaging expensive stuff. By fall, contractors had put shingles on the roof and put siding around the building, gutters and downspouts from the roof, and as you can see, the entry doors into the basement. This was only the start of the observing site in Ionia, which was made possible by 5 major gifts: the 12-inch Tinsley telescope, the land, the road, the main building, and all the involvement by the members of the astronomy club. What a tremendous change has taken place over the last 3 decades. This is a result of the tremendous efforts that have been put forth by members of the astronomy club. I hope that this will continue.